She said story. It's a little bit all over the place. I know this past Friday I actually caught myself. I was watching the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever game. I had to see it for myself. And Caitlin Clark dropped 31 points. She was throwing behind the back passes. She was doing all over. She went bonkers. And it's been pretty well noted that Sheryl Swoopes, who is a WNBA legend, 3-time MVP, four-time WNBA champion, she's definitely a legend in her game. I'm not going to discredit her. But she is 53 years old. She's an analyst, and her job is to be objective and tell the truth. And she's been very, for no reason, just real tough on Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin Clark hasn't, a lot of these new modern athletes, they talk back, they talk back to the media, they add them on Twitter. She don't do none of that. And she hasn't said anything to Sheryl. Sheryl Swoopes is on Gilbert's podcast earlier this summer. She's talking about how, Caitlin Clark was 25 in college, and she's got a 3-year head start on Angel Reese and everybody else. She's making all these crazy assumptions that aren't true. And that's when Nancy Lieberman, another legend, comes in. And Nancy Lieberman denounced all of that and says, you can't, she claims she called Sheryl and was like, you can't be putting out false claims like that. But like I say, and this has become bigger than just basketball, because it's so obvious at this point. You could say what you want about Angel Reese's rebound record. They are not the same player. I think a year from now, it won't even be a rivalry. You're looking at a player who is a special generational talent, who's shooting threes off the logo and jumps off your screen. She's box office. And then you got another girl who's a role player who's good at getting rebounds. That's it. But this has gotten so beyond basketball. I mean, people look at the Shade Room, they'll post an Angel Reese post about her rebounds. Anyone who brings up Caitlin Clark, the black girls is like, why y'all bringing her up for? This is a black platform. I'm like, y'all are so jealous and salty. But yeah, this is... Nancy Lieberman got on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, and she broke down how she approached, she called Sheryl Swoopes, and she even tried to get her to meet Caitlin Clark a few times, and she even tried to get her to meet at the Final Four, but her and Sheryl Swoopes have fell out over this Caitlin Clark situation.
I've known Sheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa, and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that, there was this quote by Sheryl that said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate. And I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend. And I said, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody, but you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts matter. And if you just get ahead of this and just say, hey, I made a mistake on my numbers, then this thing is over and everybody respects you for your opinion. And, you might like Boston. I might like the Yankees. It's okay to have difference of opinions. Well, she got upset with me on the phone. And I was like, Sheryl, I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I'm just sharing. We're talking. And so our relationship, it pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the Final Four. Right. She didn't want to talk to me. My life's going to be good or great with or without Sheryl Swoopes in my life. I'd rather have her in it. But let me tell you the difference.
Right. All right, so that was Nancy Lieberman on Stephen A. So now I'm going to play Sheryl Swoopes went to Twitter. And it's crazy because she calls out Nancy Lieberman for going to Twitter. This is her on Twitter Spaces the other night, talking about the whole situation and why she did not acknowledge when they gave up it was a graphic on the screen, the 2 players of the week in both conferences. She was silent, and a lot of people online was like, oh, she didn't want to give Caitlin Clark no credit. Well, now this is her side of the story, Sheryl Swoopes.
What he posted on his podcast. And I said, please bring me on your show. He didn't respond. I think he blocked me, which is cool. He didn't respond. But then yesterday you go and bring Nancy Lieberman on your show. But let me clear up a couple of things. Because I was only contracted to do 7 games for the Dallas Wings. So everyone thinks that I was replaced for doing the Indiana Fever game when the reality is last week I told the producer that I could not do the Indiana Fever game because of a prior commitment, but also because there's nothing I can say that's going to be right. Right. So as a commentator, an analyst, I got to be able to speak positive things, good things, but I also got to be able to critique because I do that to everybody. They then said that I was silent for 50 seconds. Don't know who had the time to time that, but I was silent for 50 seconds on a game I did, Las Vegas Aces versus Dallas Wings, when it had nothing to do with Caitlin. So for people who don't know, I'm a color analyst, not play-by-play. So my play-by-play guy, Ron Thulin, he had a graphic. He was supposed to read the graphic. He read it, said Caitlin Clark was player of the week, Nafisa Collier was player of the week. You're going to get a chance to see both of them. They're coming in town to play. That was it. That's what he was supposed to say. I was not supposed to comment, didn't have to comment. Now, if he would have said, Sheryl, what are your thoughts on Caitlin being player of the week? What are your thoughts on Nafisa being player of the week? And then if I don't respond, then that's a bad look. But that wasn't how that happened. So the other part of that is everyone's mad, or her people are mad that I didn't say anything about it when I wasn't supposed to, but yet didn't have an issue with me not saying anything about Nafisa Collier. But her saying on the Stephen A. Smith show yesterday that she was on her treadmill working out, I don't know if she was or not because I'm not in the room with Nancy, but what I do know didn't happen was a phone call from her. Nancy Lieberman decided she was going to be upset that I said it was going to be an adjustment period for Caitlin, Angel, all the rookies, but in particular Caitlin, and that I didn't think she would come in the league and dominate right away. It's my opinion. So she got upset that I said that. So she decided she was going to go to Twitter, which is what people do. She was going to go to Twitter and try to call me out. And I don't have it, but it's somewhere out there in the universe where she actually posted, oh, why can't we just let them be great? Let me introduce you to Caitlin Clark. And so she had to go on and put all the stuff about what Caitlin had done, which is great. So don't say you called me to talk about that when you didn't. You posted that on Twitter, and then I responded to you. I texted you and said, Nancy, if you have something to say, call me, since we're supposed to be, quote, friends.
Now, look, I'll say this. You know what I mean? Who do you believe is on you? I just know the girl shows up and she balls. She's just nice. And I mean, you can't deny the fact 17% of flagrant fouls in this season in the WNBA were committed on Caitlin Clark alone. They're committing 17%, almost a quarter of the flagrants on her. I seen it in the game Friday. The diamond chick, she titty bumped her twice, like, for no reason. And I'm like, cause you know why? Because up 20 points, Caitlin Clark was still shooting threes and killing them, and the girls was getting pissed off. There's just a certain showmanship to her game and a flashiness to her game that is Steph Curry-esque, NBA-like, that these girls just don't have. You watch WNBA, usually, other than Aja Wilson and a few other girls, it's usually a layup drill, fundamental, rec center type basketball, with all due respect. It's not flashy, and I think that's why these girls are jealous of her, because she has the ability to just do things that they can't. And hell, even Angel Reese was clapping when the girl when the girl slammed it down. A lot of these are not basketball plays. Excuse me. They asked Nancy Lieberman, what would she do if she got pushed down to the ground by the Kennedy Carter? She said, I'd punch her in the face. And to Caitlin Clark's credit, she hasn't lost her mind yet. She hasn't, allowed these girls to get in her head. I mean, when they finished that game Friday, she was putting her hands up, waving to the crowd, and the crowd gave her a round of applause in Chicago. So, she's doing her thing. But like I said, I don't even know if it's reverse racism. It's just different. And people, this league has never seen, this is a dominant black female league, and their league, they see it as they know it is going to change, because a little white girl from Iowa is about to be the face of their league, and they can't handle that. But how do you think these white folks felt in the 1950s when Elgin Baylor and Wilt Chamberlain came out of nowhere? All of a sudden, black athletes started coming into the NBA and changing the whole landscape. and everything changed. Now, I'm not saying a whole bunch of little white girls are going to start popping up all over the WNBA and being Caitlin Clark dominant, but it's something that you can't deny the race element to it. There's a issue with that. Like it's a problem. You know what I mean? They and it's bad look on them. It's like Sheryl Swoopes don't really have nothing to be jealous of. She's one of the most successful women basketball players that ever breathed oxygen. But it's like, come on, you know what I mean? You could at least, if you're going to put out facts like, oh, somebody was a 25-year-old college player, you know what I mean? At least say that you were wrong. She still has not gone on record and corrected that, you know, but they will do anything to create this narrative that there's even a Rookie of the Year race. That Rookie of the Year been wrapped up. I don't care how many rebounds Angel Reese snagged. that Rookie of the Year is over. If we playing pickup and you got to choose between two players, you know which one you choose and stop it. But like I say, this is so much racial undertone. Nobody can't even be honest and keep it a buck no more. They got to roll with what they think. And I'm like, I know y'all want Angel Reese to be that nice and be that, but it's just not right. It's not what it is. But let me know what y'all think about Sheryl Swoopes being removed off WNBA commentary. She claims she was only there for 7 games. That was her contract. But the streets are saying otherwise. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Hit the like button for the algorithm. I'm out.